Hello again. I'm making this video the same day I made this Doctor Who video because I wanted to get it out all the way, and it's been hard to record this. Like, I just haven't found the right words for it. Bleh. So, this one's gonna talk about Star versus the Forces of Evil, the Battle for Mooney. More specifically, I'm gonna talk about Ludo. I think that in terms of character development, he is beating all the other characters by a country mile. Not that the other characters haven't had any more development or depth to them, but to me personally, Ludo shows just how important it is for a character to be different, to grow as an individual, as a person. And honestly, Ludo is becoming one of the most relatable characters, and I never thought I would have said that about Ludo based on his introduction to the show. I mean, wow. So, this guy starts off, he got this small little, what is he, like a bird monster thing, small little guy. Got this small guy, whose ambition is to steal the Star's wand so he can conquer all the other dimensions. And, good for him, but, I mean, based off his actions and stuff like that, introduction, you can tell it's just like, oh, he's gonna be that joke villain. Like, I make a comparison with him to Jack Spicer in later seasons of Shaolin Showdown. He's there to be funny, but he's not gonna be a threat, and he's just there for the laughs and to essentially be made fun of. But something happens. After the events of Storm the Castle, when after everything that's happened, being manipulated by Toffee, being kicked out of his castle, losing all his monsters, his castle being destroyed, and then just being thrown into another dimension by Star, who just didn't give any kind of fucks. Then he's sent out to the wilderness to actually survive on his own. And not only does he survive, he thrives. He, searches for food, he finds shelter. It's like Ludo in the Wild, that episode, to me, it was one of my least favorite episodes. But looking back and watching it again, because I watched it again today in preparation for this video, it is actually one of the best episodes in this series. It really is, because like, it shows growth. It shows that, he can't be that little kid anymore. Like, he kind of realizes that, if I want my ambitions, like, I gotta take myself more seriously. And he does. He starts taking himself more seriously because he wants others to take him seriously. And I do believe that if you want others to do that, you're gonna have to believe it first. Before anyone can believe it, you have to believe it. Will Smith said that, and I feel like that's embodied with Ludo, because he just starts playing, no more games. It's amazing. After he lost everything, after he was stripped down of everything, he literally rebuilt himself from the ground up to become more of a threat than he was with a castle and an army of monsters. With literally a bird, an eagle, a broken wand, and more so just his determination, he became more of a threat to Star than he has ever been. So, after the events of Ludo in the Wild, after surviving for about 90 days, I believe it was, taming Spider and Eagle, he eventually finds the other half of the Star Wand. And, realizes that, he realizes that, like, he can't control it, so he needs to find other ways to control it. One of the best episodes that he has had personally was, I believe it was called Wand to Wand? There we go. It was called Wand to Wand. It's the episode where he goes into a rat bar. And, it's funny. When he goes into the rat bar, he wasn't looking to conquer them or anything like that. He just came in there looking for something to eat. Just said, can I just have some porridge? And it's implied that Ludo would have been on his way. But like a lot of things in Ludo's life, it had to be done the hard way. And, there was always some kind of obstacle. The rats play a prank on him by giving him mud. And, he's not going to have it. He tries to use the wand, but it doesn't work. And then he starts to figure out that the only way the wand works for him so far is if he's angered or, beaten up physically. And so, knowing with this new knowledge, he goes back into that rat bar and proceeds to have one of the most badass scenes ever. He completely goes in there, trashes the place, demands something to eat. The mud, by the way, he demands to eat the mud that they gave him last time. He actually eats it, punches the bartender who gave him the mud, and said, "Come at me." And, like, while he's getting beat up by the rats, Eagle and Spider obviously want to help. I mean, that's their leader. But he's like, no, this is going to get ugly. Like, I have to do this by myself. And then this really good scene where he's, like, just surrounded by the rats, and Ludo's getting more and more pissed off, and the wand begins to glow, and all he says to Eagle and Spider is, run. Like, the way he says that is just like, shit's about to go down. Get out of my way. And it does. He completely owns them. Now, I know I'm talking about stuff that everyone obviously already knows about, but, like, it's just amazing that, this character just went from a joke to a serious contender for, honestly, one of the best, developed characters ever. I'm not going to say that he's on the level of, like, a Prince Zuko or a Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, before the ending. But, like, this guy is definitely, he's not the same. Like, he's developing, he's growing. Like, he's doing things that Ludo Season 1 could only dream about doing. So, after he, defeats the rats, he takes them under his control, too, making a rat army. Not only that, he goes on to not only steal Star's spellbook, but to essentially, like, learn how to use magic and such like that. But Ludo's impressive determination isn't what only makes him interesting. It's the reason why he's so determined. And I'm blanking on the episode, The Hard Way. It's after the episode where he steals the spellbook, and he forces Glossaryck to help him learn magic. Glossaryck, being himself, doesn't really care and says that whoever owns the book now belongs to them, so he's gonna help them out either way. So he ends up helping Ludo out and stuff like that. And Ludo says, is it going to be difficult? And then Glossaryck says, well, do you want it to be difficult? And Ludo says, yes. Now, this is going to be important later on. So Glossaryck has him, go through all these kind of physical trials, carrying the book, kind of like Rocky style, like weight training. And then Ludo eventually starts to get tired of it. And he's like, when do we get to perform magic? And Glossaryck's like, well, whenever you want, dude. He was like, what? I thought I was supposed to be doing all this stuff. It was just like, no, not really. I only made you do this because you said you wanted to do it the hard way. You still want to do it the hard way, right? And then Ludo essentially says one of his best quotes. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. He's like, no, listen, I don't know what I want. Do you know what my father taught me about making my way into the world? Zip. I was one egg out of 15. Everything I learned, I had to learn dirty. So for once, I would actually like some guidance. To me, that is one of his best quotes because it says a lot about his characters in really just a few words. Up to this point, we've seen the things Ludo can do and what he's willing to do to survive. But you can tell, just by that sentence alone, he's had a rough childhood. No one ever really... And he's the smallest of the group, as we later learned in that season. He was not the youngest in age, but the smallest in size. So his father was particularly hard on him, but didn't really show that kind of love and affection. And, having been manipulated by Toffee, not really being taken seriously by Star or Marco, it just makes him feel, angered that no one really has been able to help him and no one's really given him any kind of credit. And it's funny because he uses that to will himself to be better. And while he's a villain, that aspect is really admirable and something, dare I say, kids could actually look up to. Proving critics wrong, proving that no matter the circumstances, no matter, where you were born or what things happened to you when you were younger, you can overcome them and become a stronger person, become a better person for it. Again, he's a villain, but at the same time, you can't help but root for the little guy because the guy's so relatable. For a monster, he's human because you've seen him at his lowest and you've seen him at his best. You can relate with that. That's what makes Ludo, to me, just like a great character thus far. And so, it's also shown that as much as he, has built a reputation of doing things the hard way and proving people wrong, he does want to be admired. This is shown when Glossaryck teaches him the Levitato spell, and he asks Glossaryck, are you proud of me? And he's like, Glossaryck's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, Ludo's like, I want to hear you say it. He's like a little kid. He just wants attention. He wants to be loved and praised by, those he considers to be important or like adult figures. And, obviously he's ecstatic when Glossaryck says he's proud of him and he masters the Levitato spell. Also, mastering that spell, as basic as it is, does prove that, again, that Ludo does have good focus. And, it is just really amazing how far Ludo's come. And I think a lot of it, I don't know, like, I can't say enough about this guy. There's just something about this character that I really can enjoy. And it just continues to go. In the season finale for season 2, both Face the Music and Star Crush, we learned a lot, still a little bit more about Ludo's family. Like I said, he was essentially the runt of the litter, being the smallest. And we do learn that somewhere along the way, Ludo must have tapped into that potential that he has now and took over the family castle. Because when Moon goes to find answers as to what happened to the wand, he discovers that Ludo took over the castle, took his parents' castle for himself, which is impressive. Once again, shows Ludo really does have focus when he wants to. It also shows that, he does have family that cares for him. We're introduced to his younger brother, Dennis, and he is concerned about Ludo. He loves his older brother, which is nice to see that, Ludo has someone who does genuinely care about him, because we haven't really seen that. Glasseric is Glasseric, Toffee manipulated him, and while he had his monster armies, it wasn't exactly a bond of trust or love or anything like that. So it was nice to see that someone actually does genuinely care for Ludo. When Queen Moon and the rest of the High Commission break into Ludo's castle, well, his new castle, sorry about that, Moon and Ludo begin to talk while the others go and search for the book and Glasseric. And they have a really nice scene that I really like. It's actually one of the better parts of the episode. I know that episode was in, I believe, Starcoast. I know everyone's talking about the shipping wars, but amidst all the shipping wars and all that stuff, I really feel like that scene was really good. It's the scene where both of them are having a conversation, and Moon mentions to Ludo that, that he saw his family. Ludo tells Moon a little bit about his family's history, about the things he's had to endure. And while Moon says that, she understands it was terrible, she does inform that Dennis does miss him. And, it's sweet because when she says that, his expression changes, and he even asks how Dennis is doing. Which shows that, obviously, Ludo does like Dennis, too. Like, that's his brother. So it shows that he did have some kind of bond with Dennis, which I hope they explore more in Season 3. They really do. Because he genuinely asks, like, well, how is Dennis doing? And Moon replies saying that, he's worried about his big brother and stuff. And, that she wants to help him. And again, Ludo delivers one of, I think, his best lines. That, again, kind of sum up Ludo's character in a nutshell. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. He says, "You're worried about me? Look at me. I've lost my kingdom, my army, my clothes. And look, I'm still standing." Once again, it just proves that Ludo is way more tough than we've given this guy credit for. The guy he's lost a lot of things. I mean, lost the respect of his family when he was younger. When he eventually took over his family's castle, he lost that too, lost his army. Pretty much lost his dignity, essentially. Had to get everything from the ground up. This guy proving that this guy's the ultimate survivor. But then Moon says, yes, you've survived, but for how long? And then he gets, he becomes sad, worried, proving that he knows that he can't keep doing this forever. Showing once again that he does want help. He does want someone to, take him in to help him out. And that's what makes him human. For a monster, this guy has shown the most humanity, I think, out of any character, personally. And I think it really comes ahead in Season 3. Where, after he finally learns that Toffee is possessing him and stuff like that, and he's already ruled over all of Muni. The guy has, become, I guess, king of Muni, and he wants the crowd to love him, so he forces River, who he's captured at this point, to, tell them to love him. Of course, it doesn't happen. Once again, proving that Ludo just wants to be loved, and he's willing to do essentially anything to make that happen. It's sad. Once again, it's relatable. And I think one of the best scenes come at the end, after Toffee has seemingly killed Star, and Marco and Moon try their best to avenge her, and it doesn't work out. And as Toffee's walking away, Ludo, having been realized he's pretty much been used this whole time, asks Toffee this. He says, "Please tell me, did I have any part to play in this?" And Toffee simply says, "No." Proving that having come even that far, developing that much, he's still, to some, just a joke. Which I think hurts him, because he just has that face that just goes like, everything I've done. And like, it still feels like I haven't gotten any farther after all this time. And that's... I don't know why, but just like, I get that. Like, I feel like a lot of people can relate to Ludo's struggle. It feels that no matter what he does, there's always going to be someone or some group of people who don't love accept him. He's kind of like Naruto. I don't know why I didn't make that comparison before. He's kind of like young Naruto, where like, you know, he just wants people to accept him. He's willing to do anything to make that happen. And also has another one of the best lines in the series where he says, "Turns out you're dead." Oh man, I freaking love that. I love that line. But yeah, that's just me. I hope that would sound like rambling. Maybe some parts it did, but to me, Ludo has grown the most out of all the characters in this series. The guy's, he's somebody who's really come from humble beginnings, and even acknowledges that he still has room to grow. So much that he asked Star to do the same thing to him that she did at the end of season 1. And this time he does it willingly. He said, "Here, Star, take my scissors. I think we can agree that I still got some growing to do," and asked him to throw him into the void because he wants to find himself some more. I am super looking forward to Ludo's character development, because if it's anything like the character development he went through in season 2 to now, but better, it's gonna be amazing. So that is one of the main things I'm looking forward to. You got a whole bunch of people talking about, I want the star code shifts to happen. Meanwhile, I'm just like, I wonder what's gonna happen to my son Ludo. I wonder how he's gonna grow and develop as a person. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Ludo and why I think he has just become one of the best characters in the show, and I wish him all the best in his journey to find himself some more. So yeah, that was my personal thoughts on Ludo's character. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know what you think. Do you think that Ludo's the best character development character ever, or, you know, give me some ideas. I don't care really much. Like, I want to know people's opinion. So that is it for this one, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.